The Galactic Union was a tapestry of advanced civilizations, some that had mastered the manipulation of matter itself, others that could traverse dimensions, and a few that existed only as energy. The delicate balance between these great species ensured peace across the galaxy. The Union, a council of the most powerful races, governed disputes and ensured that no single race upset this fragile equilibrium. For millennia, this system had worked until the humans came. Humans were an anomaly. Late to the galactic stage, they were from a relatively unremarkable planet, Earth, on the outer edge of the Milky Way. Their first contact had been peaceful, almost too peaceful. The Union had assumed they were like countless other species, eager to learn but relatively harmless. However, those initial assumptions had been wrong, very wrong. It started small, as it always does. A few human colonies expanded too quickly. The Union issued warnings, but humans were known for their relentless curiosity and ambition. They kept pushing borders, colonizing planets faster than any race had ever done before. What concerned the Union most wasn't just their speed but their adaptability. Humans thrived in environments that would have killed other species in days. Deserts, toxic atmospheres, and ice worlds, nothing seemed to stop them. Still, they were left alone. The Galactic Union believed that humans would overextend themselves, burn out like countless other young species before them. But instead, the opposite happened. The catalyst, the turning point came when the Union made the mistake of attacking a human colony. It was a small, backwater outpost on the edge of human-controlled space, yet the humans responded with a force that shocked the galaxy. They didn't just defend the colony, they annihilated the invading fleets. The humans retaliated with speed and precision. Fleets appeared out of nowhere, their ships using unconventional tactics that baffled the galaxy's greatest military minds. Their technology wasn't more advanced, but it was unpredictable. The humans had perfected the art of warfare in ways the Union had never anticipated. Their soldiers were even more terrifying. Humans could fight for days without rest, adapt to alien combat environments, and recover from injuries that would incapacitate most species. They didn't fight for glory or conquest. They fought with a cold, calculating efficiency, and when they won, they didn't just leave the battlefield they rebuilt. They turned every planet they conquered into another stronghold, another foothold for their species. The Union, desperate to understand this sudden and overwhelming strength, began studying human history. What they found was terrifying. Human history, the lesson. Humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years, not just with other species but with themselves. Their entire history was one of conflict, survival, and relentless progression. Their species had been tempered in the fires of endless warfare, from primitive battles for survival on Earth to global conflicts that nearly wiped them out. And yet, they had always come back stronger. What the Union failed to understand was that humans weren't just another species. They were predators in the purest sense of the word. While other species had evolved to cooperate and maintain peace, humans had evolved to survive against all odds. They were the apex of natural selection, not because they were the strongest or the smartest, but because they were the most adaptable, the most relentless. But it wasn't just their resilience that made them dangerous, it was their unity in the face of external threats. When attacked, humanity didn't splinter or turn on itself. It united, and that was the most dangerous trait of all. The fall of the Union. The final blow to the Union came when the humans launched a coordinated strike on the Union's core worlds. No one saw it coming. In the span of a single galactic cycle, human fleets descended upon the Union's most powerful planets. Their armies landed with precision, tearing through defenses that had stood for thousands of years. The Union's greatest generals were powerless against the relentless tide of humanity. And then, as quickly as it had begun, it was over. The Union's seat of power, the planet Oryx-5, fell in a single day. The Council, once the most powerful governing body in the galaxy, was disbanded. The surviving races were left to rebuild, but under the watchful eye of their new overlords, humans. A new era. Humans didn't enslave the galaxy, as many had feared. They didn't conquer it in the traditional sense. Instead, They established something far more terrifying: a galaxy ruled by fear. The message was clear: challenge humanity and face annihilation. But the humans didn't need to say it out loud. Their reputation did the talking. No race, no matter how powerful, dared to stand against them. Their ability to adapt, their mastery of war, and their unbreakable unity had made them the most feared species in the galaxy. The galaxy would never be the same. The other species, once so confident in their superiority, now cowered in the shadows of the humans, and as the stars turned, the name of the most feared species echoed across the galaxy. In the years that followed the fall of the Galactic Union, the galaxy was eerily quiet. Intergalactic trade routes, once bustling with ships from hundreds of different species, now moved with cautious deliberation. Planets that once pulsed with life, political debates, and scientific breakthroughs had become subdued, fearful of drawing unwanted attention. But even in this uneasy peace, the whispers persisted. Across distant worlds, in dimly lit taverns and hidden enclaves, the story of humanity spread like wildfire. Some called it a miracle, that a species so young could rise so quickly. Others called it a catastrophe. But, for most species, it was a warning. The humans had created a new order, but it wasn't through cruelty or domination. They barely governed at all, preferring to let the remnants of the Union manage local matters, as long as they followed a single rule: do not threaten humanity. It seemed simple, but beneath that rule lay an unspoken understanding: any challenge to humanity's authority would result in swift, unrelenting retribution. Entire species had witnessed it firsthand, and the survivors made sure to pass the stories down. But not everyone was content with this new order. Far beyond the reach of the human colonies, a coalition of species chose once too weak to challenge the Union began to rise. The Shadow Alliance. In the far reaches of the galaxy, a dark alliance was taking shape. It was a coalition of the desperate, those species who had lost everything to the humans and the Union's collapse. Some were scavengers, others warriors, but all shared one goal: the overthrow of humanity's silent reign. Among them was the Zirath, a warrior species known for their unmatched strength and fierce loyalty to their own. They had been among the first to fall during the human expansion, and their hatred for humanity ran deep. They were joined by the Valari, a race of telepaths whose once great empire had been reduced to mere outposts. After daring to engage the humans in battle, the alliance grew as more species who harbored a quiet resentment toward humanity joined in secret. They planned to strike where the humans would least expect it: Earth itself. The strategy was bold, bordering on reckless. No species had dared attack Earth since the humans' rise. To target humanity's homeworld was to invite certain death. But the Shadow Alliance believed they had one key advantage: they had something humanity had never faced before: unity among their enemies. The Zirath supplied the warriors, the Valari the psychic powers, and others brought advanced technology designed specifically to counter human tactics. Over the years, they had studied human weaknesses, and they believed they had found enough chinks in the armor to deal a devastating blow. The invasion of Earth. The attack came without warning. It was a perfectly timed assault, coordinated across multiple fronts. Dozens of stealth fleets jumped into Earth's orbit, bypassing human defenses that had grown complacent after years of peace. As the ships descended through the atmosphere, the first wave of the invasion struck Earth's outer colonies. Entire settlements were vaporized before they could send distress signals. The second wave, however, was where the true horror began. Massive warships hovered above major cities, and within minutes, the Zirath warriors deployed onto the surface. They tore through human defenses, their advanced armor and genetically enhanced strength overwhelming the local military forces. Meanwhile, the Valari used their psychic abilities to disrupt human communication and sow chaos in the ranks. The Shadow Alliance believed they had won. They believed that in their moment of unity, they had finally cracked the human enigma. But they had underestimated humanity again. The unleashing? The humans had always been a mystery to the other species. Their adaptability, their persistence, and their sheer unpredictability made them feared. But what the Shadow Alliance didn't know was that Earth was more than just a cradle of humanity. It was their fortress, and Earth, unlike the scattered colonies, was prepared for war. The first counterattack came from Earth's defense grid. Dormant for years, it sprang to life with terrifying efficiency. Thousands of automated drones and anti-air systems targeted the invading fleets, shooting them out of the sky with pinpoint accuracy. But that was just the beginning. As the Zyreth warriors ravaged human cities, the humans unleashed something that no species had ever witnessed: the Spartans. The Spartans were an elite force, trained in secret, born from centuries of war back on Earth. They were the pinnacle of human military evolution, cybernetically enhanced, biologically augmented, and equipped with advanced weapons. For every Zyreth warrior, there was a Spartan waiting in the shadows, and when they emerged, they turned the tide of battle in mere hours. But the Spartans weren't the only surprise. Humanity had long understood that its greatest strength wasn't technology or sheer numbers, it was their unpredictability. As the Valari attempted to break human minds with their psychic powers, they encountered something they didn't expect. Human resilience wasn't just physical, it was mental. The more the Valari pushed into the minds of their human targets, the more they were met with resistance. It was as if humanity had adapted to even psychic attacks. Within days, the Shadow Alliance's forces were in disarray. What had started as a bold invasion was now a desperate retreat. The aftermath. In the end, the invasion of Earth was a catastrophe for the Shadow Alliance. The humans had not only repelled the attack, but had done so in such a devastating manner that it sent shockwaves across the galaxy. The Zyreth were nearly wiped out. Their once great warrior caste shattered by the Spartans. The Valari, once so confident in their psychic superiority, found themselves mentally scarred from their encounter with human minds. And then came the retribution. The humans launched counterattacks on every planet associated with the Shadow Alliance. They didn't just defeat their enemies, they dismantled them. One by one, the species that had dared to attack Earth were reduced to ashes. Planets were glassed, fleets were disintegrated, and entire civilizations were left in ruin. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. The legacy. For decades, the galaxy lived under the shadow of humanity's might. Planets that once thrived on interstellar trade had grown insular, retreating into their own worlds, too afraid to venture far beyond their borders. Even the boldest species, those ones eager to explore the unknown, stayed close to home. Humanity's wrath had left a lasting imprint on the galaxy. Those who survived the invasion of Earth remember the fall of the Shadow Alliance with a haunted reverence, passing down stories of humanity's incredible military prowess and brutal efficiency. The stars, once alive with the commerce and exchange of thousands of species, had grown cold and silent. But beneath the surface of that quiet, something stirred. Not every species had resigned itself to fear. There were whispers of rebellion in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, of underground factions that had learned from the mistakes of the past. They studied humanity, not to challenge them outright, but to find cracks in their empire's seemingly invincible armor. And as with all great empires, humanity, too, had its weaknesses. The seeds of dissent. On the edge of human-controlled space, on a world called Rho Persei, a different kind of resistance was brewing. Unlike the doomed Shadow Alliance, the rebels on Rho Persei were not warriors. They were scientists, engineers, and spies. They had come to one conclusion: if they were to challenge humanity, it wouldn't be through brute force. Instead, they would need to exploit the one thing that made humanity truly powerful: their adaptability. This new movement, calling itself the Veil, believed that the key to defeating humanity lay in its diversity and chaotic nature. Rather than attacking humans head-on, they aimed to infiltrate human society. To sow the seeds of dissent within, they would destabilize humanity from within, pushing them to turn on themselves, using the very traits that made them so dangerous. The Veil operated in total secrecy, recruiting those who had been wronged by humanity's rise, species that had been crushed, conquered, or marginalized. Their members blended into human society, learning their culture, their technology, their weaknesses. They were patient, and they knew that patience was the one thing humanity rarely exhibited. Operation Fracture. The Veil's first operation was Covenant Fracture, a multi-generational effort to destabilize humanity from within. Their spies infiltrated human colonies, slowly climbing the ranks of human governments, military, and corporations. They didn't seek to destroy human infrastructure outright. Instead, they aimed to subtly corrupt it, to nudge humanity towards internal conflict. Fracture was slow, methodical, and designed to take advantage of the cracks already present in human society. The Veil knew that humans were competitive by nature, that they thrived on internal conflict and disagreement. If they could push that natural competition beyond the breaking point, they believed they could spark a civil war that would weaken humanity beyond repair. For years, the Veil operated undetected. Their agents in human colonies fan the flames of political unrest, amplify existing tensions, and encourage regional factions to push for independence. They sabotage key supply lines, delayed the development of new technologies, and quietly funded rival human factions that fought over ideological differences. The humans, distracted by their own internal disputes, didn't notice the subtle influence of the Veil. Minor skirmishes broke out in human territories, rebellion simmered on the edges of their empire, and political tensions mounted. It was working. The breach. But the Veil's greatest weapon wasn't sabotage, it was the Zalari, a race of shapeshifters who had once been the Union's finest spies, thought to be extinct after the fall of their homeworld. The Zalari had survived in secret, evolving their abilities to blend in even more perfectly with human society. The Zalari were the Veil's trump card. They could assume human form down to the molecular level, infiltrating even the highest levels of human governance without suspicion. Their mission was simple: to take the place of key human leaders and nudge them toward decisions that would lead to humanity's collapse. One of the Zalari's most skilled operatives, known only as Nyx, was tasked with infiltrating the Terran Council, humanity's central governing body. Over the course of years, Nyx carefully positioned herself as an aide to one of the council members, eventually working her way into the inner circle of power. Her objective: to weaken the council's unity, to foster distrust among its members, and ultimately, to guide humanity into a conflict that would shatter its empire from within. As Nyx ascended the political ranks, tensions in the human colonies grew. The Terran Council, once unified in its vision for expansion and dominance, was now a battleground of competing interests and ideologies. Colony leaders vied for independence, and whispers of a growing rebellion spread across human space. The galaxy watched with bated breath. For the first time since humanity's rise, it seemed like their grip on power was beginning to falter. The battle for the future. But humanity, unpredictable as always, didn't fracture the way the Veil had hoped. Instead of collapsing into chaos, they did what they had done countless times before they adapted. As civil unrest mounted, the Terran Council enacted sweeping reforms, decentralizing power to the outer colonies, giving them more autonomy, while maintaining the strength of the central government. It was a delicate balance, but one that humans had mastered over centuries of internal strife. The reforms quelled much of the dissent in the outer colonies, but more importantly, it exposed the infiltration. Nyx's subtle manipulations began to unravel as the Terran Council scrutinized its members more closely, rooting out those who were found to be acting against the common good. The final blow came when a human intelligence network, known as the Watchers, discovered the existence of the Zalari within the Terran Council. Nyx was exposed, along with several other Zalari operatives embedded deep within human society. The Watchers, long feared for their ability to uncover secrets, hunted down the Veil's agents with ruthless efficiency. The galaxy's most feared species had turned its attention inward, and when humanity fought among itself, it was still a terrifying force to behold.